Well, hey, Jackie. I'm so excited that I'm here with you today in Inverness in this amazing radio room, podcast room, and this looks phenomenal.
Thank you. It's been a long time in the making.
I want to take some time to dive into what has changed in the last 8 to 10 years, where technology was and where it's now and where it's going and how you as a visionary for Campbell and Company and as a retirement planning leader that's helping organizations and people navigate the waters of business.
Well, I think, first of all, technology has changed to our advantage, right? As any entrepreneur, any business owner, gosh, just looking when you were an intern, gosh, 8, 9 years ago, you're at Campbell and Company, the technology, the computers that we use, we have laptops now. We are way less paper, right? I don't know if we ever get to complete paperless, but what a huge difference just in training and teaching an intern. I'm so excited. I wish I had had the opportunity. I mean, technology, AI is probably one of the best tools in my entire career. Just the advancement of everything. You think about it as an entrepreneur and you can just about make it real, or there's already a tool or an app that's going to be out there helping you with all of the heavy lifting. As you know, accounting, being a CPA at a young age, I mean, very labor intensive business. Anything to do with tracking, making sure you're in compliance, just very, very heavy lifting, labor intensive. But with the tools, the technology, and a right who, like you, Randy, like I said, if I think it, there's probably going to be a way that we can design it, create it, connect tools and software to actually do a lot of that heavy lifting for us. And it just as fast as you can think it, it's accelerated. And honestly, I think COVID accelerated all of our adaptation to technology, to the internet, to Zoom, to Office Teams meetings. All those things really, really came as a benefit of COVID, the whole shutdown. So I'm just so excited of where we're at and just to see all of the advancement each and every week. There's changes.
I feel like that too, it can be challenging. I mean, for us, even, where do you start? There's just so many things where, hey, we've got sales, we got to bring in new business. We need to grow our organization, but we also need to make smart investments. Where do we do it? Where do we start? So I want to ask the question, what was your thinking? What was your process that you went through to kind of determine what was priority?
Well, I think it's always measuring and evaluating, right? As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're always kind of like an eye exam. I always use that analogy in my financial planning with clients as well. We're going to look at it. We're going to lay it out. We're going to do the math because honestly, it does come down to math and time is still part of the math, right? What you're paying for payroll or your opportunity costs. So we're always looking at it like an eye exam. If this happens, what does it look like? What does it cost us? What is going to be the multiplier and when? And, if this other thing, if we delay it or we, do something a little different, it's like the different eye exam. Which one looks better, A or B? And just always evaluating that. You're either a simplifier or a multiplier. I'm definitely a multiplier. I know you are as well. So we're just always looking at ways that we can simplify to the lowest denominator and then get the greatest multiplication from there. That's a very entrepreneurial thinking. Visionary minded thinking as well. So it's just always about evaluating things. And, if you're in the mindset that things will always be constant, it will always be black and it'll always be white, I think that's going to hold you back from a technology advancement and opportunity viewpoint because you're going to be afraid to make change. You want to stay consistent. And while you want consistent results and consistent evaluation for whoever you're being compliant to or for the partners, the shareholders, whoever that may be, you're going to want to make sure you have enough flexibility and adaptability to be able to change as the technology is improving because it's just such a leverage for that labor intensive part of our businesses.
And I love that. And that gets to, I mean, I've talked about this many times. There's three components to business that really run it. It's the people, it's the process,
Mhm.
and it's the technology.
Right.
And everything you just said, I mean, You can have the best technology in the world. You can buy it, you can implement it, but you have to have amazing people with an ability to leverage it. So dive into that. I mean, I'd love, from where we were 8 years ago, where we are now, we've implemented some amazing technology, and even just last night, we've now got an amazing ability to deliver next level, transformative, tax plans.
It's gonna be such a time saver for us, a much better visual for our clients. Because once you have been a CPA for so many years or a financial advisor, you know where every type of income, every deduction is going to end up and the impact it's gonna have on a tax return, whether it's for a business or whether it's for an individual. Not everyone has that history, that training. When you do tax returns with a pencil and an eraser, you learn really quick where not to make mistakes because erasing multiple forms at a time is going to be really challenging. And that's where I started interning many decades ago. But now you've got technology. If there's a change, you just make it adjusts everything all the way through the spreadsheets, the next software, the next tool, the next program, and just using that to really elevate your own thinking as a professional, I think is that huge advantage, huge multiplier. And anything that we were talking about, this one thing that I created by hand, and it's this horrible chart, of all is a tax matrix, right? So 'cause I'm like, there's no tool that I have been able to find that has all the tax credits, all the different taxation rates that may impact an individual. And I had manually created this tax matrix for, married filing jointly and singly. And then, I'm like, can we automate this so that it's a little bit more dynamic? And it's just about having who is aware of the technology and like your skills as a CPA, as a professional with the experience, what it's like to originate any data or any detail that will be there for any next level analysis, but you also know how to make it real. And, I'm really good at making it up, but I'm not so great at making it real. And then, of course, you have the third leg to that, making it recur. And that's where, there's a people component, huge people and technology component in there. So I'm just really grateful that we reconnected. And you've just been the who for us here at Campbell Company, just to be transformative in the past, 16, 18 months, just night and day. And it is an investment. It's an investment in time. It's an investment in the cost of whatever we're doing, but just the multiplier and let's face it, I don't care what profession you're in, time is the one thing that we all want more of and need more of. And spending time with your family. If you're not going to be making more money, you might as well be, at home spending time, quality time with your loved ones.
No, and I really appreciate that, Jack. I mean, it has been extremely fun. I mean, being on this journey. But you mentioned being a visionary and coming up with, is this something that we can automate? I find that, that people component of being able to leverage technology, it is solved by having people, and that was a great example of it, having the courage and the wherewithal to just recognize that, man, this is something that I'm doing manual. It's got to be updated annually or, whenever tax changes happen. And should I be reaching out to someone to see if we can change this? I've worked with many different clients where nothing has changed for many years. Spreadsheets that have been leveraged to allocate costs, spreadsheets that have been leveraged to book journal entries, even software that is still on servers that require VPNs that break down very often and cause people to want to throw their computers. Having that ability to recognize, man, this is something that I probably shouldn't be doing. Can someone help me with this? That I feel like is such a tough thing to just do.
It is, and to be vulnerable, right? See, that is where a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, even those in really high decision making positions, they're afraid to be vulnerable. That's the knowledge that I've gained. Just because I can do something in 3 to 5 minutes by looking at something, I've got the decades of experience over 30 years. that I know when something's not right. I might not know exactly what's wrong, but you can see it, right? But you're now able to use technology to do a lot of that for you and to do the digging and the documenting for it as well. You know, in business, why do we do anything that we do? It's all about knowing what game you're playing. Like if you're a for-profit business, if you're a non-for-profit business, what is the objective and the mission for your business? But it's more than that. It's knowing who the players are, right? Like the Internal Revenue Service, Department of Revenue. Maybe you've got other shareholders. Maybe you've got a board. Maybe you've got all these different organizations, the SEC, the FINRA, any of those compliance offices that you may be responsible to providing documentation to. If it's a franchise, maybe it's a franchise group. Whatever that is, knowing the game that you're playing, what your objective is, and also know who the players are and why you're doing any of the stuff that you're doing. Is it just for you to free you up time, to give you some more time with loved ones? Or is it so that you can do more of those things that you're generating money to do? So it's all about knowing the why and then talking to somebody. And it all starts with a simple conversation. Having that communication with somebody who truly understands it and just being open and honest. Like, hey, I've been doing this. Is there a way I can reduce my time? And when you're able to cut down your time, just because it takes me 3 to 5 minutes to do something, it took me decades to learn how to do those things. And now it doesn't even take me 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, that's a multiplier of my time, which is probably the most value to me.
It's so astonishing as well. Yesterday, we had coffee with one of our clients, and they're in the medical field. He runs multiple medical offices, and they've got someone new at the table, and it's AI. I think this new person at our table is AI because I'm even finding myself leveraging it as a tool to just help me think a little bit more outside the box.
AI is a thinking partner, right? It's not a replacement. I know a lot of individuals, a lot of companies, they're kind of worried, and they should be justifiably. But AI is just an extra thinking tool. I mean, to me, that is a sounding board. That is, am I thinking about this the right way? And ChatGPT is one of my favorite tools, and you have to know how to set it up the right way to have the protection and the security. Train your own AI, train your own tools to kind of help you so that you can just do things so much faster. I do think there's a lot of industries and a lot of positions, though, that will be ultimately replaced with technology. But one thing that AI will never, ever be able to do, it'll never be able to go through these difficult periods for an individual in their retirement plan, in their life, right? When you get to the top of the mountain and there's some great, great things going on, some confetti moments, we call it, having someone there to guide you about the next step. How do I go down the mountain? How do I go from that being a great intentional saver to now I have to turn what I have saved into an income stream to replace my paycheck or my business profits? What does it look like? I'm paying the least amount of taxes legally possible. That is always an objective for most everyone. I don't care what tax bracket you're in. AI can't be that emotional support system. So I think that's another big, big part of it. And no matter what profession or what business you're in, just being aware of what the potential changes are going to be, but how technology can help you. And it's not always a replacement is one thing that I was taught a couple of years ago, but it's a thinking partner.
So, Jackie, with people, the focus on people, changes in processes, and the adoption of AI and all this new technology that is now in the market, it has pretty much saturated the whole market. And we've got so many different tools we can choose from that most of them will solve the same problem. But which one do you truly choose? That selection process can be difficult. So I want to ask, what has that selection process looked like for you over the past 3 decades being in business? I've got to imagine even before I came here 8 years ago and made my journey back 2 years ago, many things have changed in the software. So take us through that journey.
Awareness, right? You have to do a lot of research. And if it's you doing that research, it's probably going to be delayed. right? If you're the professional, you've got so much that you're committed to already. I mean, honestly, since you've been back with Campbell Company, Randy, it's just been such an easy lift for me and our partners. We know that you're doing the research. You know the questions to ask. You know what we're thinking before we even think it. So having you as a good who to help make those decisions and recommendations has been just a game changer. I just remember the agonies, kind of like deciding what health insurance you want, right? It's like you've got to look at all the differences, what doctors are included, what prescriptions, in the country, out of the country, what's your maximum out of pocket, all of those nuisance things that you have to labor over. But if you have a really great guide and a really great advisor or insurance agent in that example to help you, it just cuts right to the chase. And that's exactly what you've been able to help us do here at Campbell and Company, whether it's been for our tax and accounting, our CPA firm, for us, for our clients, for connecting all the tools that we were, manually having to connect. And, we had our whole, dashboard of all these different softwares that we were using and manually having to connect things. And just the integration and helping with the decision, not only to spend the money, but to invest the time into the change and the transition has just been priceless. And we work with a lot of for-profit companies. We also have some nonprofit companies that we work with. And it just depends on what you're doing. But there's a way to truly leverage every single business that's out there.
Not-for-profit finance has truly seen a transformation in what's possible. One of the common challenges our clients tell us they're having is grant reporting. They will get these grants from the federal, state government foundations and have reporting requirements that necessitate tracking. And a lot of them are reimbursable. And the only way to truly automate and get data reported to them is to be able to track it. And it requires systems in place that don't require team members to have to submit paper receipts.
Right.
Something that can be a really challenging thing to solve for if a team is not taking due care of those paper receipts. Talk about the systems we've now leveraged in the back office that are now helping us solve where is the money going and is it going to the right place?
Well, first of all, if you're not automated with your accounting, for-profit, non-for-profit, doesn't matter. You definitely should be automated. Any of your banking, any of your credit card activities, those should just be automatically synchronizing. And you can set up the memorization. You can still have a who, making sure that things are accurate as far as the categorization and everything. But for nonprofits, you end up with a lot of volunteers. And maybe they're on a salary, maybe they're on a small salary, maybe they've got really good skills, maybe they don't. But if you miss the deadlines for some of these grants and some of these potential windfalls for your nonprofit organization, I mean, those can really be game changers. I have sat on many foundation boards that where I'm the volunteer with using my professional experience and background, trying to help them make really good decisions on how to invest the foundation's assets that donors have generously given through the years, making sure that those dollars are spent the right way for the mission, the purpose that they're intended. But you also now, as a volunteer, have fiduciary duty of care, fiduciary responsibility. You want to make sure that whoever's doing that accounting, whoever's doing that detail work, when you get it as a board member to review, that it's going to be accurate, and you definitely want to make sure it's timely. There's really no reason anymore for the cost of leveraging AI and a who to really help you make things as simplified and seamless as possible to really save you time, but to get things done on time.
The solve for that is Sage Intacct. And the amazing thing is we now have it implemented at Campbell Company. The same system that is the most recommended accounting systems by the AICPA to not-for-profits because of its ability to do that banking integration, the credit card automation, the financial reporting and grant reporting, the automatic release of restriction, unrestricted, temporarily restricted, and permanently restricted funds. All of that having automation and clarity embedded within the system. We just went through our own financial review, one of our first, because we just adopted Sage Intacct a couple of weeks ago. Talk about your experience now. We had a partner meeting and our first review of our financial statements, multiple entities consolidated, various dimensions, service line level visibility, entity level visibility, office level visibility. So talk about your experience going through that process.
Well, first of all, you guys did all the heavy lifting, so I didn't have to do that much. But definitely, what a gift. Again, it freed me up from the time thinking about it, analyzing it, having to add things together in my head. Because when you have these, 7 different entities, right, that I'm looking at, trying to analyze, like, what is the total? Do we have all the expenses considered? Do we have the intercompany transactions considered? And you're able to see it all on one screen without having to do Excel, without having to do all the manual calculations. As a CPA and as a certified financial planner, I can do the math in my head. I was a nerd. I was on the math team, remember? But that doesn't mean that's the best use of my time and talent. So what a great opportunity for us, just that one 2 or 3 hour meeting and being able to see everything and make management level decisions without having to do the math. I mean, that is a gift of time, which is, it's priceless. There's no way that you can measure the financial benefit or cost of that, in my opinion.
So where do we go from here? That's always the biggest question is you implement a new system, you implement new technology with the hope that it saves you that time. It allows you to close the books and get home and have dinner with the family.
Right.
Or
Or the
if I
grandkids.
or the grandkids.
Even better. I mean, what a gift. I mean, something that we always look back and say, what do we wish we had known 20 years ago, right? Or what advice would you have given to yourself 20 years ago? I mean, hold on and embrace technology and those advisors who are going to be able to help you stay up with technology and AI because it's going so fast. The change that I've seen within the past 13, 14 months with technology, I don't know if it's awareness. One of my mentors, Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach, says that your eyes and ears will see whatever your brain is looking for. So the first thing is to find a good resource that you trust and that you can leverage how to train any of these AI tools, right? But on the accounting aspect of it, the financial, you really need a who. Having a shepherd, having someone to help you navigate through these things to make sure that things are working the right way, the best way, the most efficient way. I mean, those are great things. But again, whatever your brain learns about and that you're being educated, like I learn from you. You are my AI tool as well as any kind of
Oh, thank you.
chat that I'm using or any sort of technology. But, just being able to quick ask questions and know that confidently I'm getting the answers and I'm able to even further ask questions, or you're going to turn around and ask me even better questions, just like communicating with a chat GPT, so that I make sure that I'm making the best decisions for my business, my company, and that you're giving me the best guidance. So I really appreciate that. And I do recognize that, everybody needs a Randy.
Choosing the right partner means everything.
It does.
You can have the best technology, you can have the best processes, but if you don't have the right people and partners on your team, you will fail.
It kind of goes back to the making it up, making it real, making it recur. There are real tools and technology. There are real people that can be one of those resources for you. If you can make it up, get someone who can make it real and then make it recurable. I mean, that's where the multiplier really comes in.
So Jackie, now that we're into October, this is the last quarter of the year and tax time is right around the corner. Now that we're here, what should business owners be thinking about?
Prior planning pays. You don't wait till tax time being in March or April. It's too late. It's history at that point. And what is it costing you if you don't get proactive before the holidays ever get here? You wait till December, you're probably not going to get a partner or a good a consultant that's going to be able to help you much in December because let's face it, we all have the same holidays and the same time and the same year end for most businesses, right? December 31st. So now is the time. This is tax planning season. All year long really should be tax planning season. You should not have any surprises when it comes till March or April for your tax bill for this year. But now is the time to actually be making those decisions, making the analysis, and knowing what you could or couldn't do or should or shouldn't do for this calendar year before it's too late. I see so many times, and my partners will tell you the same thing, Jim and Monica, and the rest of the team here at Campbell Company, all of the wasted tax planning opportunities that we have seen. If you're a small business owner, there are tax saving strategies. It just comes with putting in that extra time and having a right consultant, a right guide that's going to be able to help you navigate to and through some of that decision making. If your income is going to be higher this year, now is the time to have the conversation and look at what planning you need to do. Maybe you need to do the traditional delay some income to next year. Maybe you need to increase and speed up a little bit of your expenses for this year, or maybe you need to do something completely different. Don't leave tax dollars on the table. Anyone I ever have talked to in my 30 plus years as a CPA and a certified financial planner, no one ever has said, I want to pay more taxes than I legally am required to do. And that all comes with planning. We don't like surprises. Typically, after about the age of 12, surprises are not normally good. So you want to make sure that you are planning and being intentional. And if you're a business owner, be a good fiduciary. Be a good fiduciary for your family. Be a good fiduciary for the rest of your team and to your company, right? It's not just about paying the least amount of taxes legally possible, but it's about putting those dollars where you really think that they can benefit the most. So tax planning right now before the end of the year, don't wait at all. Major tax changes with the One Big Beautiful Bill. There may be some things that may or may not impact you personally or the shareholders or your business or businesses, but now's the time to find out. Don't wait until it's too late to actually take action for it.
Waiting can really cost taxpayers. I mean, all of us, with the new technology we've implemented here at Campbell and Company, we now have an ability to provide a different level of service when it comes to tax planning.
Multiple years of tax planning, right? It's not something that I have to do in my head because I know how to do it and I know where things go and I know what those anticipated changes can do just because I'm envisioning it. Roth conversions. I mean, now is a great opportunity to look at that depending on how old you are, what your income is going to be. If your income is going to be down this year, what a great opportunity. Do not leave those dollars on the table. Later is kind of like lazy to me. I mean, I grew up on a small farm in the panhandle of Florida, and one thing that we were never able to do as children was be lazy. Now, trust me, I didn't do any really hard, heavy lifting on that farm, but I saw by experience that hard work can absolutely pay off. And lazy, don't want lazy money. We don't want lazy assets, but we also don't want to wait till later because later is the most expensive word that you can have that will affect your retirement long term and also your tax bill.
So the last year and a half, really, we've had a lot of strategic initiatives internally, new software we have developed, new integrations we've developed, customizations with many of the tools we leverage, our CRM, our accounting system, our tax prep software, tax planning software. And a lot of that qualifies for the R&D credit. That's something that a lot of organizations, I feel like, don't utilize enough of. And if they do leverage it, might not be leveraging it to its fullest extent.
It all comes to working with somebody who's got experience in those areas. R&D credits. I mean, I would rather have a dollar tax credit than I would a 40% tax savings and only get a 40-cent benefit for every dollar that I'm spending. So making sure that you're working with a professional that understands when you might be able to leverage that part of the tax code. The R&D credits is a great, great opportunity, especially with technology developing the way that it is. And you're right, Randy, with you having the ability to like see all of the different tools that we were using for the multiple divisions of our company at Campbell Company, you were able to kind of, help us pull those together. So we have a patent, a software patent that we created, kind of taking some of our internal unique tools that we've been using, our unique processes, and actually getting a patent for that. So that definitely is going to qualify for some R&D credits, some research and development credits, which is a much, much better tax advantage. So whatever you're doing to leverage AI, to leverage technology, you want to make sure that you're working with someone. I mean, you come with extra bonus points just by being a CPA and an industry expert, but also with all the technology skills that you have. And being able to use the advanced tools such as Sage, Intact, you, QuickBooks, you know how to do all of those things, how to automate it, how to connect it, whatever that is, and how to track these important expenses that can qualify for extra tax credits. With the One Big Beautiful Bill, it comes with some great other potential credits. As an individual, if there's overtime, I'm going to get a potential credit for that. You just don't want to leave those things on the table, not just for you as a business, but also for the employees, for the ones that, work the hardest for you and your company. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of those tax opportunities that are out there. So again, now is the best time to do that, and don't wait. Those little things that you may not be aware of. The tax code in the United States is the most complicated in the world. And it is there for a reason, I think, to make it a little bit more complex so that, but what do the wealthy do differently? What does the wealthier businesses, the wealthier individuals, how do they do things differently? And it's all about working with the professionals that know how to leverage the United States tax code. That is definitely a way to save more money, get more money in your own accounts, leverage for your own retirement, your own future, and to make your business more valuable.
It's one of those things where you have to track your time. If you've got various team members that are working on strong initiatives like that, where they're developing technology or software to be leveraged internally, you have to have proper documentation. We took proper precautions, with our time tracking with the different team members that were involved. We created a project within our practice management solution, various tasks, and team members coded their time to it. So we could actually see, well, how much time and, of course, cost truly went into some of those projects. And with that too, at what stage did that software actually get put into use? Because there are some restrictions in terms of what does qualify, and at what point in time does labor not qualify for that R&D credit? And so proper tracking, of course, extremely important, but also, not all initiatives do qualify. I myself had to work with our team to really understand, what does the tax code allow for? And, in doing that, you can truly map a path forward.
That's really the way it all starts, is just to make sure, what are we doing right now that doesn't cost us one more dollar? And how can we track it a little differently? And what are some opportunities just to turn that little switch, just to keep track of that detail that's going to give you that potential extra tax credit versus a deduction? Or maybe you're paying for things and you're not even thinking that it's a true potential business deduction. Just looking at your big picture and just kind of putting it together, having that mentor. You're right. I mean, we consult with each other often, because when you're in the movie, like your own movie especially, you really can't see yourself in that movie. I love the analogy with the Jif jar too. If you're in the Jif jar, you can't see from the outside in, which is a little bit better visual for me. But having someone that you can just pick up the phone or just send an email and say, hey, when you get a minute, will you please help give me some guidance on this? Am I missing something, or am I picking up all the dollars of savings that I possibly can legally? And it can make such a big difference and impact. And if nothing else, it's going to give you the added peace of mind to know that you're doing the very best job that you can. But having that professional who is experienced and who will think outside of the box and think forward. Most CPAs, Randy, I know we've talked about this in the past, you have a tax preparer. They're dealing with historical information. You don't even have to have a degree. You don't have to be a CPA to prepare taxes or to do bookkeeping or accounting, but you're dealing with historical information. But someone who is truly a gift to you, your company, your personal financial life and tax life, they're looking at the past for patterns. They're looking at what's going on in the present to make sure, okay, what's going on right now? What adjustments do we need to make? What do we need to stop doing, start doing, continue doing? And they're also looking ahead in the future What adjustments do we need to make? What do we need to be planning for the future? If you find someone who is a professional, who has the experience, and who will use a fiduciary duty of care, and I know there's many definitions for what a fiduciary is, but as a CPA, as professional, we have fiduciary responsibility to do the right things, to keep our clients in compliance and keep the proper documentation, but also to be using the right tools. And there is absolutely every advantage to doing planning and to be leveraging someone who's going to help you with the past, present, future. Most business owners are future thinkers. They're not dealing so much in the past. They're not so much worried about compliance. But that is a big factor of any game of business or game of life that we're all living in.
You mentioned something that really stood out, and it's something we've talked about quite a bit, and it's choosing to work on something that's going to be a multiplier, something that is going to make a total difference, not just this year, but 10 years from now, that if we can execute it today, it's going to make our organization look night and day tomorrow. So I'd love to get your perspective on this because I feel like, there could be so many different ways to look at this. How do you determine whether or not, this initiative, this project is something that we should focus on versus another?
If you're a business owner, you spend so much of your time, your energy, your knowledge investing in that business. I've been doing this for over 33 years. It's hard to say sometimes, but the math. But 33 years. And as a business owner, eventually having a succession plan, making sure that you always have a succession plan, I think is responsible, right? But making sure that you eventually sell something that you have invested the most time and energy, your heart and soul into, you want to get the best return for that in the future someday as you possibly can. And that's one of the great things that we do here at Campbell Company is we're trying to get business owners prepared for that succession plan because we have those conversations. We think that our kids are going to be our successors. We think that surely the kids have spent all these decades growing up in our family business. They want to be our successor. They're going to be just like mom, just like dad. But guess what? They want nothing to do with the family business. And then what are you going to do? Who is going to be your succession? What is your plan? Are you just going to close the doors one day? Are you going to try to get your business to be prepared as best you can for the best resale that you possibly could get for it? That is smart planning. That is not just thinking about now and making the best profit for today, this year, but it's you looking ahead to that multiplier for the future, whatever that's going to be. And if you're within that red zone of retirement, 5 years before you're looking at potentially retiring, or maybe you don't even have a retirement date plan, but you think that sooner or later it's going to come that you're not going to be able to keep up the pace. Now is the time to make sure your books and records are as best organized as possible so that you can have that ready to open up to be able to get that best resale, that best multiplier for the future. That's where leveraging technology, leveraging a professional, an advisor, a consultant, especially a tech consultant who is dually licensed as a CPA. I mean, what a great combination to be able to help a business owner get the best bang for their buck at the end of the day. After all, that's what you work so hard for. It's not just to have a job. If you look at it as I'm just earning money year after year, I mean, you got yourself one heck of a job if you're a business owner. But looking at it as a multiplier for the future, for your retirement, for the success of your future and your family, that, and looking at the tax impact of that. And if you got $500,000 or more in capital gains, or you're going to sell your business or a rental property or real estate for more than $500,000, I mean, we need to be having the conversation to make sure that you're not overpaying in taxes, because it would be a true shame to overpay those tax dollars, because you'll never get that money back. You'll never have IRS say, hey, I think you've overpaid here. So let's do planning, and that is where it all starts. What technology are you using? How can we improve what you're doing? And how can we make it better at the end of the day when you're ready for that succession plan in the future?
And the systems themselves, they speak volumes when leveraged correctly, because if you got the correct systems in place, very likely you've got the ability to not just have a process, but a proven process that when executed, you should be seeing growth, both top line and under bottom line. That can do great things when you think about succession planning. If you do want to sell, if you want to merge, or hand the keys to your child if they do want it.
Well, the thing is that we're all doing things a unique way, right? Yeah, we're going to do things similarly to somebody else in our industry or our business or our profession, but we have our own unique processes that our clients get to experience. And documenting that, documenting the processes, making sure that you have what the systems are so that somebody else can come back and repeat it. That's what makes your business more valuable. That not only now, not only more profitable during the years that you're actually working in the business, but when you resell as well, because you now have something that has intellectual property. And guess what? We all have it. Every business owner, every entrepreneur. It's whether or not you know how to track it and how to get value and legs to it. It's about getting legs to your legacy. One day, whether you think you're going to sell the business or where you think you're ever going to retire, guess what? The day's going to eventually come, right? There's two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. And you want to make sure that you're planning it on your best terms, not on your health issues or some other challenge that may come along, or the industry change, whatever is happening. So just always try to be proactive to make things as documented as possible, because that is the intellectual property and that's what makes your business more valuable.
Jackie, I was so excited when I joined, and I love the story too. I haven't really told it yet, so I want to tell it because it speaks volumes. When you've got the right people on the right team, you can deliver amazing value to clients and to your employees as well. We have wealth management, tax, and accounting. We didn't really have an advisory arm that specialized in technology advisory, in systems, in integrations, and helping build business value, enterprise value for our clients at a system level. And we had stayed in touch for many years since I was an intern, and I remember texting you and saying, Jackie, I want to pitch something to you, and I think now's the right time to have a conversation. You remember?
Oh, I remember having two conversations with you. Yeah, I was lightning that day, so I know that would have turned you off because you don't like lightning in the state of Florida for sure. But yeah, I remember you bringing the chocolates, and Jim and Monica and I had a conversation with you, and it's so easy. When it's the right person, the right addition, the right partner, like it's magic, right? And I always pray for the right doors to open very easily, and I need the other ones to be slammed shut in my face. If they're the wrong doors, but just what an opportunity. And I think you were that extra arm that we were missing as a company. We worked really hard. We got to where we are or were with Campbell and Company by effort, sheer effort. Most business owners, most entrepreneurs, that's what they're doing. They're not aware of the ability to leverage the processes, the written processes, the technology, AI that we have the opportunity for right now. What a golden time to really be able to get all of those things so that 360 degrees, all parts of your business is going to work together. I am so grateful that you had reached out to us, and we just haven't looked back, and we're just so thankful to have you on our team.
I appreciate it, Jackie. And I'm so excited now because now that we've got our advisory service line, our 360 retirement roadmap now looks a little bit different, but so much more impactful because we can help our clients increase their business's enterprise value so that they can get top dollar for their business when they're looking to exit.
Whether it's a planned exit or whether it just happens, and no matter what happens in the future, you want to get the best bang for your buck. And guess what? We're business owners, right? We're entrepreneurs. We think with entrepreneurial thinking, but you always know someone that is in the same industry that is bigger than you. So you don't think of yourself as this enterprise, right? Like when I heard you say that word, I was like, enterprise value? But it is true. It's just elevated thinking and getting the very best return on your investment. And, we had a lot of personal, hard won wisdom, right? With our own businesses, with our own experiences. Mike has been here 25 years. Jim has been here 18 years, right? All of the businesses and relationships that we have had in our clients, in our community, we've seen some things done really, really well, and we see the exit outcome. We have seen some things that are terrible, and we've seen the outcome, right? For the families, for those that have to clean up after, or there's no resale value, or the industry just kind of goes away and they close the doors. Whatever that may be, like, let's analyze that. Let's have that conversation, because you add all of our experiences together, well over 100 years of professional experience and a lot of hard learned and hard won wisdom. And why do you have to learn things the hard way? Let those that have seen a lot of different things and a lot of different successes and failures and the tax impacts of those and the consequences on your family and the ones that you love and care about the most, let us help you guide through that. And just from our experience, I mean, we have learned things so much in the past couple of decades. I mean, my gosh, somebody asked me, what was it like? I started this business at my kitchen table with 2 young children, and I had this idea that I was going to have more time with my kids. Well, it couldn't have been any further from the truth of what was really going to happen. And, sometimes you just have to acknowledge and admit who you are and what you are passionate about doing, but make it the very best that you absolutely can. Because guess what? You might think that retirement is going to be so far in the future, but it goes by so fast. And you're there, whether you're prepared to do nothing, to do things, to travel, to play pickleball, to play golf, whatever that is. Maybe you've got a second act, something that you're really passionate about doing, or you want to do volunteering. But whatever that is, some of the best wisdom or advice that I've ever received was from Dan Sullivan, strategic coach. Learned so many things. I'm a real slow learner. They like slow learners as strategic coach because you keep coming back. But he said that you need to always make your future bigger than your past. So whatever you've been doing, whatever that is, if you work for somebody else, or if you started a small business and you want to make it bigger, or you don't have any plans past exiting your business, like, let's have that conversation too, because those are just as important. That's why we call our radio show Beyond the Money, Randy, because it's more than just the dollars. It's more than what you keep after taxes. It's more than having a smart tax plan. It's more than your future health and long-term care plan. It's about your legacy plan. It's about making sure that you're doing things that are going to set you up for having a bigger future than your past. And more is not always more money. It's about more time to spend, the freedom to spend with those that you love and care about the most, with those that you enjoy spending time with, or maybe something that you're just truly passionate about doing, whether it's getting back to the community, being more charitably inclined, or just maybe being a mentor and helping others. Whatever that may be, like, let's have that conversation, because when I talk about hard-won wisdom, it's not just about the dollars and cents. It's about everything that impacts your life from the day you're born until the very last day here on earth.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie. I really do appreciate you today. If you're looking for clarity, confidence, and direction, reach out to us at 352-683-7365. I'm Randy Kardas, certified public accountant and software developer. Join us next time where we go beyond the spreadsheets, beyond the chaos, and beyond the numbers.